Rolling.
Okay. Hi, I'm Peggy Becker, and I'm going to show you my photographs today, but first I have a question for you. So, who here thinks these are lettuce leaves? Just... Okay, good, you all win then. Because no, these are tulips. Tulip blossoms, tulip, just individual petals. But yes, they do look like lettuce, and actually there are photographers who take pictures of lettuce. Anyway.
I'm telling everyone it's lettuce. Tulips.
Tulips. Let me tell you the story. So in 2024, I was invited by a gallery in Vermont to participate with several other photographers to present work that demonstrated the things in our natural world that were not going to exist as a result of climate change. And it could be whatever we interpreted. So I spent the year ahead of time just wandering the hills of Vermont, looking at the destruction that had been wrought by a couple of floods that happened within the prior 2 or 3 years. And I thought, this really isn't, it shows the destruction, but it doesn't show what we're losing. It's showing what we've already lost. So I said, all right, wait, just stop, think about the message. And I said, wait a minute, let me go back to my own garden. Because plants are so affected by climate change, right? So I worked in my garden, and then I every year go downtown to Washington Park in Albany to the Tulip Festival. And for days in a row, I go 6 in the morning, I go 6 at night. I must have thousands of photographs of tulips. And the year of this show, I thought, wait a minute, it was a really dry year, and the tulips had emerged early, and they were dying. You know how they try to get them to Mother's Day? Well, it was not happening this year. And so I thought, okay, wait a minute, let me focus on the tulips. And then I envisioned this beautiful display of the colors and the shapes, and it was going to be magnificent. And then I started to look closely at the tulips, and I said, these look so much like human emotions. And I looked so carefully, and let me go through them a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean. Like this one, for instance. This was one of the first ones I took. And I thought, it just looks like a dancer, a can-can dancer, or what's the Argentinian dance? The tango. Thank you. You know, where the dresses are flowing. And so I had that shot. And then I thought, well, you know, some of them look a little bit quieter, and this reminded me of the child's pose in yoga. It's just one petal off of, there's more tulip around it, but I just took that petal. And then I thought, well, this would look like a chorus, people ready to sing still. So I call it Still Time to Sing. And it began to emerge a theme of, what are we losing? Yes, we're losing beautiful tulips, but we're losing a part of our soul at the same time in the climate change that we just don't realize. So I took these photographs and I started working with them in my studio, and I'll talk a little bit about the technical process for you, which was these were all taken outside, by the way. Sometimes you'll see photographs taken against a black background, and often it's somebody is working in a studio with lights. No, these were all taken in the garden, and I intentionally did that because that's where they came from. That's what we're looking at. And so I took them into my every photo is processed. Let's just get it out there right now. Every photo is processed. There's not a lot of Photoshop in these. I mean, virtually little at all. In fact, I started out as a black and white photographer, so dodging, burning, lifting light here, pulling it back there, remembering how I felt when I looked at those tulips in the garden, and remembering the feeling that the tulips evoked. And, so that's what you have. And then what I did was I separated them from the background. It's a simple process, and again, as I say, it's just a series that I call evanescence. Evanescence meaning appearing and quickly disappearing. And this seemed to represent it perfectly, especially for the theme that we were looking at for this gallery show in Vermont, which was, well, what are we losing? We're losing this quickly. And it was so sad and so heartbreaking for me. But when I ask people, And it's really hard to pick because they all say something. You know, this one, for instance, was another one that was inspired by the yoga poses that where your hands are reaching upward, and I called it opening my soul. And again, that one, the child's pose. And this one inspired by people I knew who sang, and I just felt like it was a song springing out of the flower and the dance. And then the top one was really kind of the last in the series, which I call Let the Tears Flow Gently, because there were little bits of dew that were still on a tulip when I was taking the picture in the morning, and I thought, yeah, we're very sad about what we're seeing with climate change and what is happening with these photographs. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you might have, and sorry, I should have said not lettuce.
So is that all natural light then?
Oh, absolutely. There's not a flash, there's not anything.
That's-
It was really just the morning sun as it comes across the flowers. And that's why I say I got up at 5 in the morning to be there at 6, and then I would wait from about 6 through 8, and you watch the sun come up and you watch it change on the flowers, and it's beautiful.
Are they macro shots or are you?
These are not. Well,
how
let me
far
take
away
that
are
back. So this one I'm on my stomach looking up. This one, most of them were not really macro, but you could kind of count them that way, the way they're processed, because I'm focusing in on a piece, but I wasn't using a macro lens.
About 50 millimeter, a normal lens?
Yeah, probably my 24 to 70. It might have been a 70 to 200 if anybody understands what that means, in which case I would have stood back, but I'm pretty sure they were that closer feeling. Yeah.
You're right in there.
Yeah.
So these were still on stems and bloom?
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's even more interesting.
Well, that's why I wanted to explain that, you know, many pictures you'll see that are done like this.
Yeah.
Somebody has taken it into a studio, put a black
Like,
background,
yeah, like
set
that.
up lights and done it.
Mhm.
Nope, this was, I wanted it for the theme of that show to be exactly what came out of the garden and what are we losing? This is what we're losing if we
They're
don't.
so impressive to look at, and then when you get the backstory.
Yeah, even more so, right?
It's so
Yeah.
much more elegant and,
Yeah, I've always considered myself, there's sort of a group of us that say we're natural photographers. You know, what does that mean? It means I don't snip the tulip off and drag it to my cellar. It means I work with natural light. Now that doesn't mean I don't do things in my studio, but by and large, I'm very careful. I also don't drop it into Photoshop and start whipping things around. As I say, I come from a film background, so everything that was done on these images would have been the same thing I would have done if it were a film photograph, which is just lightening up the light areas, taking a little bit of shadow and enhancing it. You know, just making sure that you get the texture that was across the petal and as carefully as possible.
Very sculptural because of the way you paint the grays.
Yeah, you have to be quite tactful and remember what you saw to be able to reproduce that when you get home.
Did you go to school for photography?
No, but I had the greatest mentor of all. My father was an amateur photographer. So I grew up with a darkroom in my house.
Oh, wow.
And when I was 5, he would put a step stool up so I could see what he was doing. And it was just magic to me.
Oh, yeah.
And his greatest lesson was, you know what, the camera only has one eye. So if you see me out photographing, I'm usually walking around like this. My husband has saved me from more light poles than I can tell you.
So how long have you been doing digital photography?
Well, you know, I made the change in the 90s. I got a digital camera, but, you know, with family and jobs and things, I didn't really start seriously back into photography until I retired, which was in 2020. So I mean, I've been doing photography for over 50 years, but, you know, really seriously, just the last 5 or 6.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you said you put the background black.
Correct.
Is the flower white or is it a different color?
So This one actually is a beautiful white and rose color. There might even be deeper color rose, lighter color rose, but it was that combination. Most of these were, maybe with the exception of that one, most of these were kind of a light purple. Yeah, and you know, when you go into black and white, it takes a little bit of thought, but
There's nothing lost in translation there.
oh yeah. Yeah, and this past year, I'm taking this series a step further because I've started a whole other similar series that's related, but it wasn't just the plants. It's actually natural areas, the seashore, which is really at risk of loss, and it's called On the Edge of Quiet. And so, in that context, I'm going a bit further, and I'm taking the flowers also, and I'm taking photographs of them in their dying. And there's a beauty in flowers, in the shapes of the petals as they begin to curl, as they begin to fall, what's left on the stem. I'm sorry, I'm waxing poetic only because it is poetry. They are just so stunning in every moment of their lives. Other thoughts?
I'm just curious, did you keep the original colored
Yes.
as well?
Yes. Yeah, no, I
love
always.
black and white. Beautiful.
Yeah, somebody was so surprised, the gallery owner where I took these, she was so surprised. She goes, "Could you please send me a picture of what they look like?" So I did.
Well, they're gorgeous, they really are.
Do
Thanks.
you prefer working in black and white?
If
You have some background.
if the image says black and white to me, yeah, for sure. I mean, what happens is this: if you have a color photograph, and I work in color all the time, the color becomes the subject often, which is nice, right? And if you've done it well and you've done it tactfully, then you have a beautiful photograph. Black and white is about the subject exclusively. And so it's sort of a different thought process when you're putting them together. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, thank you all.
Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you.